What's up, y'all? It's Shuffle, and today we are going to discuss my favorite and least favorite heroes to play in Darkest Dungeon. This was a question that was asked in stream, and I thought it'd be fun to talk about, a little bit more at length. Obviously, before we get started, make sure you follow on Twitch and join Discord, all that garbage. Thank you, and now we shall begin the video. These aren't in any particular order. It's not like this is my completely most hated class or whatever, or this is my completely absolute favorite class. Actually, there is a favorite class, and you can probably guess what it is. But we'll start with the least favorite heroes. So these are ones that, I do recognize their strengths. I don't mind putting them into teams, but when I get to their turns and I click buttons, it doesn't set off any happy chemicals in my brain. So that's why I feel like they're my least favorites. It's more like utility and necessity. That's when they show up. It's not so much like, man, I really want to play this class. It's more just, I need to play this class right now, so I picked them. Starting us off is Jester. This is a class that I recognize the sheer value of Jester. I take him when I need to. I like playing Divina Commedia as a team just because the whole thing feels very fluid, and I like that. But playing Jester just by himself, or sometimes two Jesters, I really don't like the playstyle. To me, he's just a straight up buff bot. You just get to his turn, you hit Battle Ballad, sometimes you stress heal, sometimes you hit a bleed attack. But I feel that since his uses of Ballad aren't capped at like 1 per battle, I always have to hit it every turn or every other turn, something like that, to make sure I have a good stack of the buff going. And that just doesn't lead to a fun playstyle for me. He's stats. He's just stats in the team. And when I play characters, I like to have a bit more in terms of decision making than just raw. I hit this button, I get a bunch of passive stats, and that's it. So that's why I don't like playing Jester. Next up is Antiquarian. She is a class that her combat impact is pretty low. Her gold acquisition is fantastic, but when you put her into teams and stuff, she has, just kind of like Jester, where there's a healthy amount of good stats. So you Protect Me is really cool. You have Vapors or Flash Powder. Those are just stats you're putting down, and that's awesome. But her impact isn't as dominant as someone like, for instance, Highwayman getting 4 Riposte or something like that, or Flagellant hitting some nutty Exsanguinate. Antiquarian's just there to do some okay damage, do some chip healing if needed, and give you some cool utility options, and then help you stack gold. Gold is a resource that falls off later in the game. Once you have a full roster of maxed out people, you don't need gold nearly as much, so her main draw of finding money is no longer as helpful. And whenever I take Antiquarian out of the Hamlet, it's never a situation of, this team will get 100% better if I put Anti in it. No, it's always, wow, I don't have a lot of money, or I have an easy week, or I have some really strong people, maybe I can bring Anti and just farm some gold. It's never been, I'm going to take Anti because I have a really cool team idea and she's going to make it happen. The last class I'm going to talk about for my least favorites is Man-at-Arms. Just like Jester in many ways, Man-at-Arms to me feels like he's just a bunch of passive stats. You camp, you get tactics, you get weapons practice. Those are great abilities, and they're just stats. They're just passive stats. They're just like extra trinkets. And when you put him into battle, he uses Command, which is more stats. He uses Bellow, which is impacting the enemy stats. And then he uses Bolster, which is more stats. He uses Guard, which is probably his biggest decision-making tool, which is kind of why I don't like him alongside Jester. Like I said, they have a lot of the same overlapping issues to me, where I don't find a lot of, dynamic gameplay, if that's the right term. I just don't feel a lot of decision-making when I play Man-at-Arms. It's really just, do I buff this turn? Do I guard this turn? Do I rampart this turn? And you kind of cycle between those. And usually the answers are pretty apparent. Sometimes they're not, but the decision-making process doesn't feel as involved as other characters. And like Anti, in a way, he doesn't feel like he has as big of an impact. He doesn't have an offensive impact. Maybe that's why I don't like him as much. He has a very big defensive impact. And there are some people that sing Man-at-Arms praises, and they are right to do so. But there aren't as many applications for Man-at-Arms that I think that he gets to shine and be this, amazing unit. It's only just a few fights in the game. There are a few fights in the game where Man-at-Arms is the best character to pick, but in your normal short dungeon missions, stuff like that, Man-at-Arms usually isn't a great pick. So between the massive amounts of passive stats he gives you and the low like damage output potential, even as Riposte isn't that strong compared to Highwayman's, I don't usually like playing this character. I usually have one or two in my roster now, and I just bring them out either if I have no one else, or if I'm in one of those missions where I feel like Man-at-Arms is the perfect pick. The honorable mentions for my least favorite classes, I almost picked these, but I decided not to. The first one is Arbalest. She's pretty fun. I just wish her damage was a bit higher. The next one is Vestal. Vestal's pretty cut and dry to play. She could have made it into this list of 3 pretty easily. I don't like playing regular Vestal. I use her quite a bit, and you're going to see her in a lot of my videos, but I don't like playing her. It's just too much easy, raw value from this character. She has an okay stun, she has great, consistent healing output, and there isn't much decision making. The hardest choice with Vestal is, do I stun or do I heal? And most of the time, it's pretty easy to decide. The reason she did not go into this list is because playing Frontline Vestal, which is affectionately called Bonk Vestal, where you use Mace Bash and like a melee setup, she has that build going for her, and that is very fun to play and very fun to set up for. So because of that, I didn't put her in the bottom 3. The last honorable mention for my least favorites was Houndmaster. I don't like playing Houndmaster that much. It's mainly just a sniper with a bleed damage thing on top, but he does have some pretty cool camp skills, and I like his aesthetic. So I like the access to bleed damage because that makes him more versatile than Arbalest as a sniper. And then he's got some really good camp skills on top, so there are plenty of places to find use for him. And I do take him quite a bit, and even though he's not my favorite to play, I still like him more than the other people I mentioned. We're going to go the other way with the honorable mentions. We're going to start with them first. So my honorable mentions for my favorite characters to play, these ones did not make it into the top 3. The first one is Hellion. I really like playing Hellion. The reason I didn't put her in the top 3 is because she usually wants rank 1, and that's a very coveted position by a few different heroes. So you want Leper in rank 1, Flagellant can do pretty well in rank 1, he can also go in 2, but you know, that's something else. There are a few characters that you can keep putting in 1, and that really messes with Hellion's ability to be selected. Shieldbreaker's another one that wants rank 1, right? So since I have so many rank 1 options, I usually don't take Hellion as often. It's more just I want to play Hellion. And that's not to say she's bad, obviously. This is an honorable mention for my top 3. She's really fun to play. It's just that she's not as imperative as other classes can be at times, though she's certainly still usable, and she will do absolute work wherever you take her and in most teams. My next mention goes to Leper. This is a character people think I don't like, and I actually like playing Leper quite a bit. I love setting Leper up and watching him just annihilate stuff. It is one of the most fun things in this game to watch Leper get double crit Hughes or hit something for 69 damage and just blow it away. It's so cool and it's really fun to do. So I do like playing Leper. However, I don't like playing Leper as much as the other characters. Last mention goes to Crusader. I like playing Crusader quite a bit. I think it's cool that he has a few different specs. You can run him as just pure dedicated support and healing. That's very easy for him to do. You can run him as just a frontline bruiser. Easy enough. He's got some support stuff. He can stun. He can hit pretty hard. That's awesome. And then you can run him as a Holy Lance backliner. And this is one of the most fun things to do just in the game, is to have some kind of dance team with Crusader in it using Holy Lance. And he can take his really good damage stat of 10 to 19 into the backline. And it does very well, even outside of the ruins. So Crusader is a class that has a few different builds that are fun to build for and play in teams around. And as much as I like them, as I've said with the others, he's not as fun as the ones I'm about to name. Starting off with my first of the 3 favorite classes I like to play, I'm going with Flagellant. This dude is so fun, and he's always just a roller coaster of emotions in the battles, because he gets stronger the more beat up he gets, including going Rapturous, which is still sketchy because it's an affliction and he can still do stuff that you don't want him to do. But I like playing Flagellant just because he's got really good just overall power. His damage output is very strong, especially when he gets, beat up and gets all his damage boosts going. He has ways to heal. He's a fantastic single healer. Like, if you don't have Vestal, or you don't want to bring Arbalest or something like that, or Cultist, you can bring Flagellant. He's probably the second best healer in the game. I don't know, it's between him and like one or two other people, but he's really good at solo healing. Reclaim is nutty, the Exsanguinate crits are just fantastic, they're always great to see. Redeem is high value. He has ways to mitigate his stress, like through his camp skills, he can cure his own diseases. Like, this dude is nuts. He's very powerful, and he's very fun to play, especially because outside of all of his, benefits of damage and healing, my favorite thing about playing him is there's a lot of risk assessment with Flagellant. If you understand the enemies you're up against and you understand their damage capabilities, where they like to hit, he rewards you for knowing that. So you can run him reliably and let him go under half-life or under 40% to get powered up and stuff like that, get his cool moves online like Exsanguinate. And if you nurture that, if you're able to understand these very well, then you get so much out of this character, and it's just a blast to play. I love the game rewarding the player this much for understanding the enemies and understanding the character. So because of that, Flagellant is in my top 3. My next favorite class to play is Occultist. This is probably because of my Torchless run that I've been doing recently. I really like playing this dude. I only have 1 in that file. I wish I had more, but he's such a fun class to play because he can just do so much for any team that you put him in. If you need someone to do marks, he's there. If you need some Eldritch damage, he's got you. He has an okay melee attack in Stab. He has a suboptimal cleave in Roof Spaghetti, but that's okay. He makes up for it by having, like I said, his versatility, so he can have this amazing stun in Hands of the Abyss, and he can heal from anywhere in your team. So you can just put him in wherever. You can put him up front, which is probably where he's best. He can heal, he can stun, he can pull if he's in rank 2, he can do some okay damage. He's great. If you put him in the back, he has some really good support options. He can pull stuff, he can mark, he can spam curse, he has huge crit modifiers. There's just so much going about this character. He can fit into so many teams pretty easily and still offer something and have a noticeable impact. So between his versatility and the decision making that you have to use with him when you're playing, you have to decide which really cool high value move do I use. Do I pull something? Do I curse something? Do I drop a heal? There's tension with the heal. Like, when you have to decide to heal, do you decide, do I do it this turn? Do I do it next turn? What if I roll 4? What if I roll 0? What if he crits for 48? When am I supposed to heal with this character? And even if you think there's usually a better time to do it anyway. So with all of that going on, this character is just chaos in a lot of ways, and he's really fun to play. So because of that, I am putting him in my top 3. I know I said there wasn't an order to the other characters, but honestly, the number 1 pick is Grave Robber, probably to the surprise of no one if you looked at my channel banner. I really like playing this character. She's got the quintessential rogue feeling because she can go stealth. She's the only character that can. She has a lot of movement, she has a lot of burst damage, she has versatility in her offense. She can armor pierce, she can do big melee damage with lunge, she can do good on-hit range damage with dagger, she can also do poison damage with the darts, and I think that's pretty cool. With her weapon selection too, it's a nice assortment of stuff, because I think in terms of the canon, her dagger is the letter opener because that's the one you get from Crimson Court. So I think it's cool to have this character that runs around with a letter opener, a pickaxe, poison darts, and a shovel, and somehow kills like cosmic beasts. With all that together, she's just really fun to play. She's fun to team build for because you have to understand that she likes to move to get the most out of her. And she's a character that maybe this is just something that drives my ego, which I guess I could be guilty of. She's a character that I, to this day, get a lot of comments about. People say, how do I play this character? I saw your guy, but I still, I'm still having trouble with this character. What else can I improve on? And then, we talk about it. I guess that's why I'm talking about the ego part of it, because maybe I get some satisfaction out of playing a character that I think people find difficult, at least from a beginner level, because she's definitely someone that I had to practice with as well to get the hang of. And she's fun to team build for. She, like I said, does big damage. And that's always satisfying to see. When she crits a lunge on like a boss and just does 70 or 80 damage, and you know she can go Shadow Fade and do it a second time. Like, there's no limit to that damage. That's pretty awesome. She's like Highwayman, where she's never out of position. She always has something to do in the front or the back, and in some ways, she does limit your team choice, but in other ways, she makes teams that aren't normally possible more possible, and that's pretty cool to see. The last thing I forgot to mention too is, besides her awesome rogue feeling with the stealth, she has pretty good trap disarm, so that's pretty cool. She has awesome camp skills with being able to cure disease, she can scout, and she can stress heal. She's got a lot of stuff going for her, so if you've not tried Grave Robber, as always, I would suggest you do so. She may not be the best character in the game, but damn it, she is the one I have the most fun playing. Alright y'all, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that crap. Follow on Twitch, join Discord. Let me know what your favorite characters are down below, or your least favorite ones. I made it a community post today. I don't know when this video is going up, but I made it today. In case you don't see that, then just let me know down below. And next time, besides some streaming and Blood Moon VODs and all that stuff, I'm thinking I need to start working on that Antiquarian guide. I also want to do a new player guide, and I'm going to do some viewer runs, and then whatever other ideas come into my head. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.